Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're tackling something most of us will eventually face, and it usually pops up during an already incredibly difficult time. We're talking about figuring out exactly how to obtain a death certificate copy in the state of Maine. Look, if you're the one tasked with settling an estate, transferring a pension, or accessing life insurance benefits, you absolutely need this legal document. There's just no way around it. But dealing with state agencies and all that red tape, yeah, it can feel incredibly frustrating. Well, don't worry. This explainer is going to make the entire process clear, manageable, and highly actionable.
If you're sitting there feeling totally overwhelmed by the bureaucracy right now, I just want to say that is completely normal. It seems totally daunting to have to jump through hoops and prove your identity just to get a piece of paper, especially when you're already stressed out. But we're going to guide you through Maine's specific rules step by step. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do, what to bring, and where to go.
So here's our quick roadmap for today. First, understanding death certificates. Then, checking your eligibility. After that, the step-by-step process, navigating potential challenges, and finally, resources and final tips.
All right, Section 1, Understanding Death Certificates, what it actually is and why you need it. So what exactly are we talking about here? In Maine, a death certificate is a formal, legal document issued by the Department of Health and Human Services. It officially records the date, the specific location, and the cause of a person's death, but only if that death actually occurred within the state's borders. What's really important to know is that this administrative process kicks off almost immediately. By Maine law, a certificate of death has to be filed within 5 days of the passing. It's basically a tag team effort. A funeral director gathers the personal data, and a medical professional, like a doctor or medical examiner, certifies the actual cause of death. Now, you might be wondering, why do I need to get my hands on this specific piece of paper? Well, for families and estate representatives, certified copies are basically the golden keys to handle a ton of administrative chores. You're going to need it for settling estates, claiming life insurance payouts, transferring pensions, notifying Social Security, and even just closing out bank accounts. The huge takeaway here is that the state doesn't just automatically mail these to you, you have to actively request them. Actually, here's a pro tip. It is highly prudent to request up to 10 copies right off the bat from your funeral director or the state. Seriously, having a stack of them on hand saves you from waiting around when you're dealing with multiple institutions at the same time. Moving right along to Section 2, checking your eligibility. Let's figure out who is actually allowed to request a copy, because Maine has some pretty strict privacy laws. Okay, this is actually a super interesting quirk about Maine. They put a strict timeline on privacy. Basically, if a death record is less than 25 years old, it's on lockdown. It's classified as restricted. That means you've got to prove a direct, legitimate interest to get it. But once that record hits the 25-year mark, or if it's super old, like pre-1892, it flips to being a public record, open to absolutely anyone for a non-certified copy. Oh, and a quick side note here, fetal death records actually have a much longer restriction period of 50 years, so keep that in mind if that applies to your situation. You also need to clearly differentiate between the types of copies you're asking for. A certified copy is the heavy hitter. It's the official document with the raised seal, and it's what you need for legal and financial matters. Because it holds so much power, getting one requires you to prove your direct relationship or lineage to the deceased. A non-certified copy, on the other hand, is usually just for things like genealogy research, and like we just mentioned, that one is open to anyone, as long as the record is past that 25-year threshold.
So who gets VIP access to those restricted recent records? Maine law lays it out very specifically. Eligible folks include the immediate family, so a spouse or registered domestic partner, parents, legal guardians, and descendants like kids or grandkids. Extended family members, like a sibling or an aunt, can also get access, but they absolutely must show concrete proof of lineage. Authorized representatives, think attorneys or funeral directors, can get copies with a notarized release or a contract. Even creditors or insurance companies can request one, but they have to submit a formal request on company letterhead. Genealogists can get in on this too, provided they hold a valid researcher ID card from the Maine CDC. But here is the bottom line for everyone. No matter who you are on this list, you must present a valid government-issued photo ID, like a driver's license or a passport. No exceptions.
All right, let's get into the how-to. Section 3, the step-by-step process. Let's look at how you actually execute your request. Let's talk digital first. The state essentially gives you a couple of gateways for online requests. VitalCheck is the sole state-authorized centralized portal for everybody. It's a third-party commercial system, and it validates your identity using LexisNexis databases. Alternatively, there's a service called Inform.
This one handles direct digital requests, but only for participating municipalities. If your town uses Inform, your U.S. driver's license gets verified automatically against DMV systems. Pretty slick. Once your ID is verified digitally on either platform, you just pay with a credit card and then you wait. Expect a processing time of up to 10 business days, plus whatever shipping time it takes to get to your mailbox.
Now, if you're more of an offline person or you just want to handle it in person, Maine uses what's called a dual custody model for records from 1892 to the present. This simply means you have options. You can retrieve records centrally from the state CDC office in Augusta or locally from a municipal clerk. For the local route, you can either go to the town where the death actually occurred or the town where the person legally resided. Just fill out an application for a vital record form, grab your photo ID and proof of lineage, and show up. Or if you're mailing it all in, make sure, and this is super important, make sure you include a self-stamped long return envelope.
Let's talk money for a second, right? Because how you order directly impacts what you pay. If you go directly through the state CDC or your local municipal clerk, that first certified copy is just $15. And it's only $6 for each extra copy you order at the exact same time. But if you want the total convenience of ordering online through the third-party Vital Check system, well, that base cost doubles to $30, plus whatever expedited courier shipping charges you might choose. Section 4. Navigating potential challenges. Let's look at common pitfalls and their solutions so you could save time and avoid headaches later.
Okay, this one trips up so many families. It's a massive jurisdictional catch. Maine can only issue a death certificate for a death that physically happened within the state lines of Maine, period. So imagine a loved one was a full-time legal resident of Maine, right? But they passed away while receiving care at a specialized hospital down in Massachusetts or New Hampshire. In that scenario, their death record is not filed in Maine. You literally cannot get a Maine death certificate for them. You have to reach out to the Vital Records Agency of the specific state where the passing actually occurred.
Another big hurdle is the dreaded failure to find notice. When you apply, you have to provide enough clues about the deceased, full name, exact date of death, the specific city or town, so the state can actually locate the file. If they search their databases and come up empty-handed based on your info, they send you this notice. And here's the kicker. The search fee is totally non-refundable. So accuracy on your application is absolutely crucial. Double, triple check all your dates and spellings before you hit submit or drop that envelope in the mail.
Almost there. Section 5. Resources and final tips on where to go next.
Here's a quick hit list of where to direct your questions based on what you need. For standard state-level stuff, the Maine CDC's Data Research and Vital Statistics Office in Augusta is your go-to. For local face-to-face help, your local municipal clerk is amazing. Ordering online, Vital Tech is the official third-party hub. Now, if you're deep into genealogy and hunting for super old historical records, the Maine State Archives is who you want to call. And interestingly, for heavy professional users like title attorneys, InforMe offers a subscription model that complies with federal privacy acts, making high-volume record retrieval a breeze.
So let's bring it all together. Getting a death certificate in Maine is definitely a structured process, but it is absolutely manageable once you know the playbook. Just remember, records under 25 years old are restricted, so you need to prove your direct interest and lineage. Decide if the $15 direct municipal route or the $30 online Vital Check route makes more sense for your timeline. With the proper ID and everything we've talked about today, you can confidently check this huge task off your list. And hey, if you know anyone else struggling to figure out a state administration right now, please share this explainer with them to help ease their burden.
So here's my question for you right now. Getting organized is half the battle. So do you have your government-issued ID, your exact dates, and your proof of lineage ready to go today? Gathering all that paperwork right now is going to make your actual application process so much smoother and stress-free tomorrow.
Before we wrap up, I just need to remind you that this explainer is strictly for informational purposes. It's not legal advice. Regulations can and do change, so always confirm the final details directly with official Maine state websites or your local municipal clerk's office. But really, getting organized is half the battle. If you gather your ID and proof of lineage today, you're setting yourself up for success. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and we will see you next time.